So you're telling me that FTX was just a big fuckfest?
All right, good morning, good freaking evening, good night. Welcome into another edition of NFT Live on the Web3 network. We're getting after it today. It's a US fest. We're about to have a USA-Iran game here. Good to have y'all in the house. I have Biggie Poppins up here next to me on my right, and I got Gifdead down there, fresh off hosting GM Web3. Yes, you can smell your pit. It's fine. We're going to talk a lot of things today, fellas. I'm excited for this one. Let's start with Gifdead. I think Biggie, you might be having some connection issues. We'll see, but let's start with Gif and let's see if we can get Biggie's connection sorted.
Update those cam settings, Biggie. I mean, look, I just gave myself the smell test, semi-fresh at best, I would say. I got some tea that I'm about to go grab out of the microwave, so I'm excited to get my caffeine going.
You can't stand up.
It's a big day. I can't stand up.
Well, once we're locked in, you can't leave.
Fuck. All right, we're locked in, boys. No, it's a big day. Let's go USA. That's all I gotta say. We gotta win.
Yes, sir.
Let's do or die. A tie will not cut it. So we're gonna keep. This is gonna be. Don't worry, Jacob. It's gonna be a short show today because big game. Also, Jimena Buenavita's Coinbase collaboration drops. That's a big deal. Multiplicity. I'm excited for her. And awesome show. Tech Tuesday. Jiwa showed up from the Intent.art crew all the way in Berlin to give us the latest tech headlines, run it down, and also, you know what? He gave us his not financial advice. So maybe we can recap that.
It was a good episode. Biggie, how are you doing today, my man?
Man, I'm doing great, dude. I'm over here still, traveling. I'm in Puerto Vallarta as we speak. I was listening to the show, walking on the beach. It's getting rugged a little bit, but it was great, man. And I am looking forward to this game. Although I don't agree with Gif, it needs to be total destruction. I want to see it 3 goals at the very least from the USA, if not 5. 5-0 would be the optimal. That's what I'm calling for.
I said 2-1. I said 2-1. My prediction, my big bold prediction, 2-1.
I'm going 1
USA.
zip.
All right, we got 1 zip, 2-1. You say 5-0?
Yes, sir. I'm gonna go hog wild on this. 5-0 total annihilation. Just it's gonna hurt. It's gonna hurt, but I'm sorry. It's gotta happen.
You're going on the big screen for that one, Biggie. Hey, I was mentioning to Gif. By the way, we are going to get to the NFT and Web3 news. If you are here for that small amount of information, we have the World Cup to talk about. But Biggie, are you following Mexico at all? Are they out of it completely, or?
Man, you just had to bring it up. No, man, like
Where is Messi? Where is Messi?
I don't know. Yeah. Where the fuck was Messi, right? Like he just had to say it, and then Messi showed up. No, we still have I don't know, like the biggest Hail Mary of a chance to pass. It's completely dependent on how we do with Saudi Arabia tomorrow and how Argentina does with Poland, is it? Yeah. Either way, it's not the best way to get through to the next round. We'll take it because, we are a lot of fun in the World Cup. I don't know if you guys have been seeing the videos, but let's see how we do, man. It's going to be nuts.
Awesome, man. All right, well, we will get to the craziness that is the space. This is just another. I'm about to show you some breaking news from multiple media personalities here that you should find pretty well. Gifdead's is messing with his beard. Are you getting rid of that soon?
It's a mess. Part of my program this month is no shaving. So right now it's just like I got a big freaking rat's nest on my face. And you know what? This is what I look like after about a month of no shaving. So I am excited to do a little bit more grooming here in a couple days once I make it to the end of November.
Love to see it. Well, Biggie got his Moonbirds hat on, so we can officially get the episode started here. I want to get the episode started with 3 quick hits that mainly 2, right? So Kobe came out with an announcement just now that's saying this was an hour ago. What shall we ask Mark from Mount Gox today? So apparently Up Only is going to have Mark Karpellis on the episode here. I don't know if that's going to be a live episode or if that's going to be recorded and then posted later, but keep a lookout on Kobe's Twitter for when he goes and interviews Mark Karpellis from Mount Gox. That should be a good one. And then I also had I also had another one from Mario Nafal. Hopefully I didn't butcher his name there. SBF joining the show. There are 20,000 people. You can't see it on here, but if you go on mobile, there are 20,000 people that are set to tune in for this. Is this real, guys? Is this real?
I mean, look, it says real as the Web3 Elon Musk interview that we have coming next week. Let's put it that way.
I agree. I can't see that. It's going to be a dumpster fire I don't know. It's not even going to be a conversation, right? So I can't see it really happening.
So this came along with, and I pulled this up as a full search thread. Ben Armstrong, so as known, I don't think he's formally known yet as BitBoy. This is BitBoy saying SBF, FTX, and I have agreed to do a Twitter Spaces within the next 2 weeks. He has unblocked me on Twitter now, so we can confirm we have spoken. So I don't know if these two things have anything to do with each other, but it's continued contagion that we are covering from the FTX fallout. And then last but not least, and I want to get the chat involved here. Gifdead, this was shown by one of the community members in the GM Web3 morning show this morning. Ryan Gosling as Sam Bankman-Fried. And then as we go along, we can see there's a couple others. Look, Jonah Hill is in here.
Hill is perfect. Ryan, SBF does not deserve the Gos. He doesn't deserve the Gosling treatment. Straight up, give him Jonah. That makes sense. He's not a good-looking dude. He's you know what? I was already upset and annoyed by Beeple's reincarnation of him in his fuckfest piece of art, the orgy, because he was jacked. He was in good shape, and he was jacked. And I was like, bro, have you seen the guy? He's not in good shape. He's not jacked. He's overweight. Let's be honest.
Okay.
Ryan Gosling is not SBF.
Okay, so that being said, now, when we saw Jonah Hill there, the question is, and I'll have you go first here, Biggie, who should play SBF if there is a Netflix special? Like, hypothetically, wave a magic wand, who's playing SBF?
Bro, I don't think anybody should. If you are an actor, you do not want to play this man. You do not want to be remembered for this role, even for the slightest chance, right? You hear soap opera people get hounded in the supermarket for breaking up with fictional characters. Can you imagine playing this guy? I don't know.
That's an interesting take. People confusing you for the real SBF and being like, "What happened to my fucking money, bro?"
Yeah, seriously, bro. No, I don't care how good of a paper how good of a role you can play with this man. Really, would it even be interesting to be such a dickbag? I know actors are always like, "Oh, to get myself in his shoes and to explore that territory."
Bro,
it'd be like a Jesse Eisenberg in the Facebook piece, right?
Well,
you can't even ever see him not play that role.
Mark Zuckerberg is less
Jared Leto.
I feel like less hated than SBF right now. But also, no, here's okay. If Ryan Gosling plays SBF, then Scarlett Johansson has to play Caroline.
Oh, come on, dude.
Lord.
What? Don't bring No, that's a whole nother episode we can get into. I want to.
This movie needs to be an anime. Can we agree this? If you're gonna do it, it should be an anime. There you can really depict the horrors, the real horror.
Yeah.
One of those XXX crazy Japanese animes.
Fully on brand, guys. We are just getting started here. That was the quick piece of news, the ridiculous alpha that you came here for. So I appreciate you guys showing up here early as we just press live. Quantum Variant Digits Crypto Buffalo with the Our Vibe Our Tribe saying let's punch some cocks. We will be cock punching today. We'll see how far we go along that line of thinking. Santino Ramos is saying Caroline. And this is what Space Smells Like is saying. Just finished watching the Proof podcast with Kevin Rose and Tim Ferriss. That was actually recorded in Marfa. We can bring Biggie back in here to talk about that when we get into that topic. But CockPunch sounds pretty unique, which is, you'll only say that in crypto. Will D says hi, and Prodigy. Me and Prodigy got after some streams last night, some game streams. We didn't really win. But we had ourselves a good time. So Prodigy, thank you so much for starting up that game night that we're gonna do periodically on our Twitch channel. So if you're hanging out on the Twitch channel right now, you can apparently it's follow on Twitch. It's not a subscribe. We say subscribe a lot here on YouTube, but if you're on Twitch, leave a follow. If you're on Twitter, leave a follow.
Heck yeah.
Please do.
Love it. All right. Anything before we get started here and get into some of the quick news? We got some Coinbase wallet delistings and Home Depot, which is just in there for memes. I really don't want to spend a lot of time on that, but anything, Biggie, like how have you been on your trip? Do you want to give us an update?
Man, I would like to just basically tell people, if you can muster it, especially during the holidays, things tend to slow down. If you can just take a weekend off, a couple of days, it's been magical. It's been great. I've tried to like detach from crypto Twitter. It's impossible though, right? Q, like I do check in every now and then, and honestly, it's like looking into the wicked witch's fucking like mirror. Every time I open that thing, I age 10 years, like just for a minute. It's like, Lord, like what's going on with MetaMask, the FTX debacle, Genesis, BlockFi, Jesus, it's like, it's insane. So if you can like give yourself like a day or two and really, really unplug, honestly, I personally had forgotten what that feels like. And it's been amazing. It's been great. Like there's a whole world out there. and
Don't tell them
like,
that, bro. Don't tell
Yeah,
them
you can never leave. We gave you a reprieve.
Yeah. No, but it's been nice. I gotta say though, I did miss my tribe, and I'm happy to be back. I'm just waiting for like some bomb that I missed, right? That you guys are gonna drop in this episode. I'm gonna be like, he said what? But yeah, I've been just keeping up.
A lot of things happened while you were gone. Gifdead actually made money in NFTs recently. Gif, you wanna hit him with that before we get into our news pieces? But before you do get to that, we are talking CockPunch. We're talking MetaMask tracking your data, and we've got some Sandbox avatar updates as well. Asmod, I wanted us to cover some Sandbox. We got a vid to play on that, and I see you guys in chat. Morgan Freeman is SBF, classic.
If they Morgan Freeman as SBF, absolutely. If they want the alpha, if they want to know how I made money during the bear market, and they want to know the recap to Jiwa's not financial advice from this morning, you got to leave a like. You got to leave a like and subscribe. That's the trick. And we will wait. We will wait for you to go ahead and hit that thumbs up button before we get into all that. But I don't want to spend a lot of time on Home Depot, but I do think what's notable about it is that they didn't just file for like 1 or 2 trademarks. They filed for 24 trademarks across all of their brands, which means that like they definitely see a future in investing a lot. And then I think the fun idea about this is like the concept of renovating or home improvement in the metaverse, or virtual home improvement. I think is a funny concept. Other than that, let's not talk about Home Depot. All right, if you left a like, then you know what? All right, here you go. Here it is. Here's the alpha. Here's what we learned today. First of all, we've been doing Tez Tuesdays sometimes. We got into Tez. We did some onboarding a month or two ago. Jiwa is, deep into the generative art rabbit hole. That's what the intent.art collective is about. He's really, really into it. So it's awesome when we have Jiwa come in and share, what he knows about Tezos with us. So I got, I'm kind of like a recent Tez head. I went down the rabbit hole a couple months ago on Web3, got into it and started listening to Jiwa and buying up all of these different generative artists that he's been following. One of them is Kim Asendorf. So Kim Asendorf is sort of a pioneer in generative art, has been creating different codes that have been doing really cool, different artistic things that have never been done before. You can get a lot of his work on Tezos right now for relatively cheap. Anyway, one of the pieces that I bought, just a month or two ago was a monogrid from Kim Asendorf on FX Hash. And I bought it for 250 TES, and the floor is above like 1,200 now. So didn't even know, just checked it out today. So that's like a 5x in the bear market right there. And that is also the best segue into the 3 different pieces of not financial advice that Jiwa gave us today. One of them being just buying Kim Asendorf's work. He's very, very bullish on Kim as a pioneer in generative art. You know, you can still get some of his work for relatively affordable on Tez, but Jiwa is very, very bullish. And again, that 5x just in the last month or two on one of his projects that I bought shows you the potential for where this guy's going. He's not that well known yet. Like, he's not, but you could see Kim Asendorf being a name that becomes synonymous with the generative art movement. So that's one. Buy
Holy
Kid.
shit.
Yeah, so those are the monogrids on, I think that's like the original monogrids. And then there's monogrid 1.1, which are the colored ones. So I got monogrid 1.1, which is on FX Hash. I think those are on Object maybe. But there's monogrid 1.1. He's got a couple other connections. So that's number one. Buy Kim Asendorf's work. If you want to get into generative art that might have a lot of potential to be worth something. The next one is buying art blocks pieces, especially he mentioned the curated collection within the art blocks platform. There's a lot of things are beat down right now. A lot of things are undervalued maybe. Art blocks is not going away. They've been doing a lot of big things. So specifically, if you can snag any awesome art blocks pieces at a good price now, that could be, a good idea, a good strategy. And then the last one is just buying and holding Tez. Tez is under $1. It's around 97, 98 cents. Again, we all know Tez has a really sticky art community, a good collector base there, and seems to be doing a lot of things right, at least in terms of NFTs and NFT art. It seems like even just buying and holding Tez right now might be a good way to go. Jiwa's prediction was that it wouldn't take much to get it back up to at least, a 2x, $1.50. It was around like $2. So, there you go. Kim Asendorf's work, art blocks, and just buying and owning Tezos. That's the not financial advice that we got this morning.
See, look, if you follow what we're doing here, you can actually make money in crypto. I know that's a novel concept, but what we're doing is actually making some money here or there. Speaking of tokens, our last quick news piece here has to do with Coinbase delisting tokens. This is the first time I've seen Coinbase Wallet actually delisting for inactivity or low usage. So this comes from Cointelegraph. Coinbase Wallet will delist BCH, ETC, XLM, and XRP due to low usage. There's some heavy hitters here in like that 2017 timeframe that were like big time tokens, and now they're being delisted from Coinbase. It seems like a pretty big piece of news there. I didn't even know Coinbase was in the delisting game when it comes to the volume must be extremely low like that for them to pull the trigger on that.
Yeah, and I mean it's Christmas, and you got to keep those shelves sparkling new with the latest and greatest, right? You don't want any of these old shit coins still hanging about. Why would you?
You got to clean up house.
Is that Bitcoin? Is that Bitcoin Cash?
Yeah, BCH. It was Bitcoin Cash, Stellar. I think Ripple was in that as well.
I think it's interesting to see Ripple included. I mean, we all know why their volume's down, right? But like, doesn't it seem like they should maybe wait until the litigation? I don't know. Maybe it makes sense. I don't know. I do think it's interesting. It feels kind of like relegation, but also I agree with what Biggie's saying. It's like, if there's things that maybe aren't great investments that nobody's in anymore, like don't keep them on the shelves. If it's not a safe product at this point, it's just sort of a cash grab, or I don't know, like a black hole, which a lot of these altcoins and shit coins maybe were in the first place. It kind of makes sense, right? Clean up the aisles. I agree.
Yeah, we need to clean up the chat a little bit here. Crypto Buffalo is asking, Q, are you drinking a margarita in a can? Digis is asking if I'm day drinking, and Swerve is saying,
ready for the game. Yeah, come on, it's called pre-game, y'all.
No, this is one thing that me and Biggie Poppins are up on. It's the spin drifts, and then you have to. I didn't add the mezcal right now. You just gotta have to take my word for it. Yeah. But the spin drift, the sparkling water with the mezcal or tequila is the move for those of you that are interested. But we will move into our first topic of the day. This has been an ongoing conversation since Biggie told us that he saw Tim Ferriss at Marfa. Like I'm not a big Tim Ferriss podcast listener. I'm not like I don't follow up on like what he's up to, but apparently he has been making his way into the Web3 space and now is set to launch. And I believe Mint is live or upcoming on December 1st for his project called CockPunch. And we will get into it. But lay down some foundation for us here, Biggie. What actually went down at Marfa, that event in Marfa, Texas, where Tim Ferriss was down there getting interviewed by Kevin Rose, and let us know any inside info you got.
Yeah, I mean, Marfa, Texas is turning into a generative art like hub where Art Blocks basically opened up their main office gallery space, if you will. And this year it was followed up by Derek Edwards' Glitch Gallery, which was equally impressive and cool. And so you had a lot of like the greatest generative artists basically walking around Marfa, talking Web3, their latest projects, displaying some new collections and stuff. And amongst them was Tim Ferriss, who's very good friends with Kevin Rose. And during one of the podcasts, I believe it was the Proof podcast, he came up and announced his upcoming NFT project called CockPunch, which is a great name, right? Of course. I'm very excited about it. I mean, first of all, like Tim Ferriss is one of those people that you'd be a fool not to like maybe bet on by this point. He's got a pretty good track record of having his pulse on the on tech and what's going on. And I'm personally even more excited about it because this is his, like, it's really interesting how he always like hacks things together for his benefit and the things that he's trying to push forward, right? In this particular case, he's trying to raise money for psychedelic research, which I think is like one of the most important developments that humanity could have finally embraced in a very long time, because they've been suppressing it, right, since the Reagan era. And basically, it's very expensive to fund and it's not easy. And Tim has been doing this independently for quite some time now, spearheading research, and litigation, not litigation, but legislature and stuff like that. Just bringing people like the awareness of the benefits that can be derived from these substances, these plants that have been for so long just being classified as dangerous and illegal, right? And so basically, I mean, you can imagine the type of stuff that you're reading there all the time, especially because of these substances are used to treat people with PTSD and like severe depression. So if you're reading clinical studies of some of these, like the worst case scenarios, imagine how depressing that can be, right? Like it's not easy to do that day in, day out. And on top of it, like try to raise awareness and money. And here comes Tim and he looks at Web3 and says, look, what an amazing mechanism to raise money, to get like the biggest fans behind this this innovation coming forth, and at the same time for myself to have fun, right? Which is why he chose CockPunch. And if you follow Tim for a while, he talks a lot about enjoying his days as a dungeon master, of having originally wanted to be an artist and a penciler in particular. Like he made his money, like early money, like when he was in college, like he made money doing that for like, I think like the Princeton Review or something. So now like he's utilizing Web3 to like rekindle his relationship with like storytelling and drawing and art to fund a subject that is very passionate and dear to his heart, which is psychedelic research. I think it's awesome. It's something that we should pay attention to, most of us here, right? Because we all have like particular strengths or things that we want to bring into the Web3 space. And here's somebody that's been a master of using Web 2, if you will, to hack his life right into being a digital nomad and, live more and work less, which is really the message he tries to tell you, not to just work 4 hours a week. And so now he's doing it with Web 3, building in live in front of all of our eyes. And I'm personally really excited to see where it goes. I mean, there's worse things that you could throw your money towards, right? It's going to be for a great cause. It's going to be fun, and we'll probably get to learn a ton around, along the way. So.
Yeah, so I just dropped great breakdown there, by the way, Biggie. I just dropped a bunch of links here for you guys to take a look at. Essentially, like, what is like the mint price, what is the date for this, what is he doing? You can click into those links and see. The website isn't built out too much, but here, just from just from the initial web page, it says the legend of CockPunch is a tale of a fantastical realm, a universe of the bizarre from the mind of Tim Ferriss. Stories are the gateway drug in this emergent long fiction project. Characters, maps, artwork, and more will be released over time. Like Biggie Poppins said, 100% of NFT primary sale proceeds are being donated to the SciSay Foundation, a registered 501c nonprofit that funds cutting-edge scientific research and other initiatives related to psychedelic medicine, mental health therapeutics, life extension technologies, ecosystem conservation, and indigenous knowledge preservation. So that's kind of a high-level breakdown. There's a couple more things that I want to look at here. It looks like premint.xyz has a giveaway for the NFTs. I'm still looking for where this mint situation is happening. And then one of our community members, Josh Squashman.eth, dropped a great breakdown, or at least a source here that talks a lot about what Tim Ferriss's thought process is with this project. But before we get there, what do you got, Gifdead, on what you're hearing so far on CockPunch? No Donkey Punch, but CockPunch.
Yeah, well, I think it's important to clarify. As far as I know, the primary sale, because Biggie, you were hitting on this really hard, which is the good cause associated with funding psychedelic research, etc. Primary sales are going to that, but it doesn't say anything about secondary sales. So I think it's at least important to just know that and be upfront, right? I think this idea of ELF is interesting. I don't know, everybody's coming up with new buzzwords all the time and ways to market, and so it's like part of me feels like it's just like a marketing thing, but also, it might catch on as like a useful term for what a lot of projects are doing, like storytelling NFTs are doing, which is emergent storytelling, right? It's like they don't necessarily have the end figured out when they launch it. It kind of develops through the community over time. And that's basically all they're saying. This ELF, emergent long fiction, is that like, hey, we're kind of creating the foundation, the characters, we're creating the sandbox, and then we're gonna create opportunities for the community to interact and engage with this world, and the stories will develop from there, and who knows how they could go on forever. It's like so I don't know, the whole elf thing I think is cute. It kind of feels like just a way to package it up and market it better, but that's what smart people like Tim Ferriss do. They like the 4-hour work week, he packaged an idea into a catchy, easy to consume concept, and that's kind of what I feel like ELF is doing here.
It feels a little bit like what Loot was trying to do, right? They laid the foundation of having just the tools and items for characters and said, you know what, this is going to be the starting point. There's no real roadmap. There's no real actual idea of what this is going to be, but we have a starting point, and that's what he's kind of getting to. I'm going to go back into.
I think it's like Loot with better animators, like an actual art budget, and then also more pandering to our 12-year-old South Park, sense of humor.
One thing you guys haven't mentioned, though, which I have found particularly interesting, and I think it's more projects should do this, is how much Tim Ferriss keeps highlighting and beating on the drum to not buy this project to make money or to flip. And, it's all right to do it, in my opinion. It's something that, especially with the purpose of what this project is, I think if maybe something hasn't been said about the secondary sales, because I mean, this projects will have to continue funding itself at some point, right? Which I'm sure it's like one of Tim Ferriss's
Sure.
aims. But I love the onboarding with a big stick already, right? With a big cock punch, which is like, do not come here looking to make money in our flip. And we know a lot of people aren't gonna listen to this, right? But I love the idea of already setting a very hard ground rule, right? Because it really, I feel like, will give him the freedom to completely ignore and just not deal with a lot of the typical drama crap that comes along with like entitled NFT buyers these days, right? Which
It's
is like
also it's
floor price,
self-preservation.
floor price,
It's
exactly. It's
smart.
like
It's
no
smart. Yeah.
expectations. It's a
Yeah.
fundraising, fun project for me,
There you
and
go.
it'll go on as long as I enjoy it, right?
Hmm.
Valid, completely valid. And the fact that he's just coming out and saying it out front, it's going to be very interesting when these little fudders come out and start whining about like the most, stupid minutia, and just hopefully fall on completely deaf ears, because that's what we need more of, you
Yeah,
know?
I'm gonna give a little bit more context for the people out there that are still trying to like figure out what's going on here. So I'm reading directly again from that Twitter thread. So Josh Squashman.eth shared this on our GM Web3 Morning Show post. He said more info on CockPunch from last week's Cosmo de Medici newsletter featuring Tim Ferriss. First of all, Cosmo de Medici is not Snoop Dogg. PSA. For those of you that do believe that, you probably need to leave the space because you're a little bit too gullible. There's no way that is Snoop Dogg. We're already questioning whether Snoop Dogg himself knows enough about NFTs, or is it just his son, let alone runs an important NFT influencer account. I don't know if you guys need to hear that, but that is not Snoop Dogg. Anyways, back into a little bit of cock punch here. Just in the context, he says, Tim, and this is Tim Ferriss's words, I have roughly 10 to 12 mini chapters done at this point to set the stage. These will be released as text online and also as a new podcast, which is no small thing for me. And then I will be watching everything that happens around the launch and initial month closely, including responses to embedded Easter eggs and mysteries, and I'll craft the world moving forward based on what people are excited about, what I'm most excited to write, friends' input, what types of real-world communities develop, and much more. And he goes along into talking about this ELF piece where he says most of his work, at least in text form, has not been emergent. It's been very, nonfiction based, and this is an exciting project for him.
Well,
so
I think it's worth mentioning too, as far as giving credit where it's due, because we spend a lot of time critiquing big brands and established celebrities or Web2 personalities who come into Web3 and maybe don't do it very well. Maybe they don't spend a lot of time actually investing in education or understanding the community. It seems like they just show up with their hands out like, hey, give us your ETH for our NFTs. And there's not a lot of thought put into actually the value that the community is getting, et cetera, et cetera. So I will say, at least, by him showing up in Marfa, doing a bunch of spaces, saying he's going to do the podcasts, putting his name on it, at least you can tell that he understands that there's a lot more to this community, a lot more to this world than just a quick cash grab. And so I'll at least, again, I don't know where it's going to go. Looking at least some of those teases, the cock tease that you showed of like the balls on the chin, anyway, looking at some of the initial concept art, it at least looks like it's good quality art. And again, he's clearly putting some effort and some thought into this and putting his name on it. So I'll at least give him that credit. Remains, yeah, cock. There you go. It's straight up just nuts on his chin there. It's
got a Peter Griffin chin there.
Yeah. So anyway, as much as it might be weird or dumb or pandering to immature sensibilities in the space, and as much as it remains to be seen how it actually gets executed in the over the coming months and maybe years. I want to at least acknowledge that clearly Tim Ferriss is trying. He's doing something more than a lot of others would.
So again, what I'm garnering from this is it's going to be like a very Dungeons and Dragons role playing story that involves. I think we saw weapons there. There was axes. There was different avatars and this stuff. And he's going to develop this story, and there being NFTs involved, where potentially characters can get involved in the IP building, all this stuff. If anything, it's a cool case study for podcast and storytelling books and things like this for like usage of YouTube
storytelling. I
There
feel
you
like
go.
ELF.
Say that. Say that.
Well, so okay, this is a fun little anecdote, right? Like when I was doing my undergrad, I took a class called transmedia storytelling, and that at the time was like the buzz phrase. That was the buzz term for like this idea of like creating a story that was built across these different platforms that involved the community somehow. Transmedia storytelling, and I feel like ELF is like the newest incarnation of that.
Okay, I was gonna rose you up for that, but I appreciate the takes there from both of you guys. Any last thoughts here before we move on? I like Quantum Variant's comment as well. Bet on good founders. At the end of the day, when you're looking to invest in projects, this is not financial advice, but you invest in the best people. Like it's going to get you far most of the time.
100%. And I think I don't know how many out there are fans of Tim Ferriss or have been following him for some time, but like this is a guy that's got an extensive networks in a variety of fields. He's dedicated his life to like learning. He's like one of the pioneers of life hacking, of Web2, like digital nomad, the lifestyle. Like, I mean, I think you'd be hard pressed to find somebody with his range and qualifications. And honestly, like, I mean, he needs no further shilling. But this, when you say that he's been doing his homework, it's like people don't realize, like, he's been buying Bitcoin since 2012. He's best friends with Kevin Rose, who's big into Web3. He's been a lurker, if you will, but started collecting digital art, I think, about a year or two ago. So he's known me, and he's had access to some of the greatest, minds in the space to help him, punt all these ideas. And this is not a freebie. This is just like the network that he's built.
Biggie also drank with him. He also drank tequila with him.
He drank my tequila and he liked it. It's fucking dope. It's so dope.
This is straight tequila right here.
Man.
By the way, this is straight tequila.
It's honestly really, really cool, like all the things that this guy's been able to accomplish. But I think his biggest passion, and the one that's like been the hardest climb and the most rewarding, is this, like, being a proponent for psychedelic medicine. Because as far as impact goes, I mean, if you think about the impact his books and like his blogs have had, I mean, I don't know, it's like a quantum leap if you are able to move the psychedelic space forward and bring it into the light. Even the fact that he's already brought it into so many people's consciousness and investing and pushing legislature. And now with this, I mean, I really want to be a part of this. I don't know how anybody could not.
So Biggie, we only have
like CockPunch.
Exactly. Listen, the only reason I'm talking about it because it's CockPunch. Last question here. We are running up to the World Cup game here. We have 10 minutes left, so we're going to try to get through the rest of the episode pretty quickly here in an actual quick episode for Jacob. But real quick, Biggie, and this is a lightning question. Do we have any information on like what that mint looks like or what these NFTs? Do we have any information regarding to a sale or anything? All I see is an airdrop.
Dude, I've been so, like I told you, I've been so unplugged from everything. All I've done is just kept on top of like my Discord announcements and like the very basic headlines and stuff. Okay. So I am blind. I'm flying blind, bro. I just hope I don't miss it.
All right. Yeah, if you guys have any go ahead, Gif.
Well, I think, the reason we're talking about it, it's obviously interesting. It will be an interesting case study for ELF and, all this shit. But also, all signs point to this doing well, right? Mm-hmm. Like the amount of effort going into it, the way that he's starting to promote it already, having a great founder, all signs do point to this being a project that does well.
Okay. All right, we'll wrap it up here on CockPunch, and we'll come back to it as we get more information on possibly a mint. Might be something you might be looking forward to as an NFT community member. Maybe make some. Wait, we're not doing it to make money. We're not doing it to make money. Never mind. But we are doing this to get you guys some information, and we are going to drop you some MetaMask stories here. But before we get into the MetaMask piece and the Phantom Wallet piece, some wallet updates, please leave a like there right below Biggie. It's right there. Biggie's looking up. Yeah, there it is. Right there. Please leave a like. It does help us get the word out about such cool projects as CockPunch. But anyways, let's get into this next piece of story. Quick piece of news. Phantom Wallet says, coming soon, one wallet for everything. Excited to announce we are adding support for Ethereum and Polygon. This is pretty big news for those people that are on Solana. I'm sorry that I feel your pain. But Solana has had various wallets, Phantom Wallet being one of them. I actually enjoyed my Phantom Wallet interface experience. So it looks like that company is moving to, or at least, adding multi-chain integration with Ethereum and Polygon, all within one wallet. I'll drop the link here for the thread from Phantom, so you guys can take a look.
There's a wait list on that thread. The bottom tweet, if you want to get on the wait list for this multi-chain wallet. There
oh,
it is.
Great. There's a wait list.
Yeah.
All right. I'm gonna not cheer you up anymore with this other piece of wallet news here, Biggie. But MetaMask is facing some backlash here for stealing users' data.
Of course they are. Fucking like duh.
On November 23rd, 2022, Consensus published the most recent version of MetaMask privacy policy. The document states that if users use MetaMask default third-party remote procedure or RPC provider Infura, information on the user's IP and Ethereum wallet addresses are collected. The one thing I do have to figure out, and I'll do this live with you guys, is whether MetaMask was always doing this. I think they came back and said this has always kind of been the case. I guess people are, maybe the wording's a little different. But what's your initial take here, Gif, on this piece?
Look, we went down a rabbit hole on just the whole idea of like consumer privacy existing in any sort of function of the matrix of society where you're having to transact and deal day-to-day life. And like, I feel like it's inevitable that any of these accounts, any of these platforms are not tracking some data on us. And so like I feel like as I'm saying this, it sounds so defeatist, because the ideal of decentralized, being decentralized and self-ownership, self-custody, a lot of this is the idea that we can protect ourselves or take back more power from the existing third-party platforms and services. I just don't know if that's a reality that is actually going to happen. So I'm not surprised by it. It's not like making me delete my MetaMask, because I wouldn't be surprised again if they weren't already doing that, or if other wallets aren't already doing this. Like I'm not living out in the jungle in Thailand using a fucking VPN and trading Bitcoins on hardware wallets. Like I'm on the grid for good or bad, right? So like I don't know what to do about it. Like, yeah, I'm not a fan of people taking my data.
What are they doing with it is the question. Where is this data being stored? What is the implication of them doing it? I could always kind of understand that using MetaMask, it didn't come out with a narrative of saying we are protecting your data. So I never assumed that they were doing that.
You know what? But at this point, at this juncture in time, right after the FTX debacle, who cares what they said they're going to do with our data, or what guarantees they're going to give us, and that they're really looking out for us? And it's obviously a disclaimer, cover your ass situation where they are already trying to front run anything that could potentially happen down the line, to say, look, we've been collecting IPs, we've been a good boy, right, with the government. But at the same time, what you were asking, Q, what are they going to do with our data? I don't care what they say. I just don't. You just don't believe them.
Yeah,
And
that's
as
fair.
you, Gif, when you say, I don't know what to do, I get it. I get it. It's such a pain in the ass. It's been such a crucial part, right? It's been a pin in this whole Web3 utility ecosystem. It's a tool that we all use, right? And it's a pain in the ass. But you know what? Again, this is Web3 crypto self-sovereignty knocking on your door, telling you, take care of you, figure out a way, find an alternative, and vote that way. Because if not, if we're all going to take that approach and say, oh, well, what can we do? We're just going to keep using freaking MetaMask. Well, just going to add more stuff that they're going to start logging in their fucking
Well,
data
one of the
cloud.
options that tweet was pointing out, like you can actually go in and change your RPC, which allegedly stops them.
Allegedly.
Right? So like that would be, I'd love to know, like, you know, can somebody figure out, it's probably not that hard. I just haven't done it. Like, how do you find an alternate RPC or whatever?
So this tweet thread actually goes in. I love Twitter, by the way. This is like some of the most gigabrain motherfuckers are on this. Not saying that it's gigabrain to change an RPC, but like these guys have it figured out before the story even drops. But if you see here in this second thread, he says, let me open the extension manifest. Oh boy, it's already sending stuff to Infura. I wasn't able to opt out of Infura yet. So it's already sending, based on this guy's tweets, again, you know, it's not financial advice, but even doing this, they're already sending potentially IP information and things like that without you opting in to another RPC.
This is what I'm saying. I feel like part of the cost of doing business on any
Flashbots,
okay, again, I'm sure, like, this is what we were talking about. I'm sure there's a way. If you live out in fucking Thailand, you get a VPN, you don't connect to any other fucking accounts on any of your hardware, and you only transact in like totally decentralized currencies somehow in exchanges. It's like, I'm sure there's a way that you can fully be private and protect all your data. I'm sure there's a way, but the amount of effort and the way that changes your life and like pulls you out of the ability to just exist in a day-to-day capacity is not, it doesn't work really for 99.99999% of people. It doesn't fucking work. And so like, this is an example of like, even when you're given options and tools to protect yourself, you're still transmitting data all the fucking time. It's being sucked up by all these different fucking companies all the time. So like, look, I want to figure out how to change my RPC. So at least, again, it's like, it's hedging, it's reducing the amount of data maybe, but like I would be lying to myself to pretend like my fucking digital footprint and fingerprints aren't all over the fucking place.
So we have this conversation
by nature of living, like just by nature of living my day-to-day life. And
at the end of the day, the conversation that we had, the point that I had, you know, thrown out there in the GM Web3 morning show when we had this conversation was that only really, like you said, 0.001% of the population really knows how to do it effectively to be completely off the grid. Most people just want to be mostly off the grid. You know, when it comes to like, you know, if they're security focused, like most people don't, like a majority of the population doesn't give a shit. But for the majority of people that want to be off the grid, they'll never completely, like you're saying, do it to the extent that it needs to be done to not be found by quote unquote the government or something like that. But
and the thing is, even then, if they wanted to find you, they would find you. That's the thing at the end of the day. Like,
it's debatable whether, if you're not in the US, it's really debatable whether that actually is true. I mean, it really is. Like, property is the one thing that they can always find you on. Like, if you live in the US and you have property, really what you're trying to get yourself away from is maybe like off the grid to other people, not necessarily government. Because if you own property in the US, there's literally no way that you can, you know, that is a stake in the ground. You're going to be there, you know? Maybe you own multiple properties, but we're going down a rabbit hole now, so.
Yeah, I mean, nobody here is like looking to be like the next Jason Bourne or anything, right? But as Quantivarian clearly states there, it should be a choice. You shouldn't be just corralled into this or herded into this without having a choice, right? He also mentions Flashbots RPC could be an alternative. I don't know enough to know if like it's still running on Infura. It's just different RPC, but that's what I've been playing. Like that was my first thought as well. It's just like change the RPC, but regardless, the reason why everybody always suggested what was the first thing that you always thought, oh, I want to get into crypto, whatever, download MetaMask, right? Why? Because it was the most easy, most convenient, most simple. It was the way so many of us got onboarded it. But at the same time, in my opinion, I can't just like sit here and be like, oh shucks, oh well, it's too inconvenient, I'm not going to do anything about it. It's like,
well,
no,
I agree with that,
I have
and also
to.
what Quantum Variant's saying, that it should be an opt-in, not a default feature. Like
Yep.
a lot of I feel like that's the way that most of these platforms are going with data collection and sharing, is that you get a chance to say, hey, like, we're going to start collecting XYZ data for this. Is that okay? And you get a chance to opt in or opt out. That should be the standard practice. So
even
yeah,
look at Snowden's even talking about it. Snowden's even weighing his thoughts here on the situation. Great points by both of y'all. I do agree, Gif. Like, it should be an opt-in. It should be something that you can opt into. The really juicy part of this situation,
they could be facing a lawsuit. I feel like they could face a lawsuit because of this, honestly, because I feel like that's compromising a lot of people's personal information without giving them the opportunity.
Yeah.
So anyway, sorry. Go ahead, Q.
No. I think that's a great point as well. There probably will be, and we'll see where that goes. The really juicy part of this is, again, you shouldn't think that MetaMask, a company, and it's been mentioned multiple times on those tweets I pulled up, is owned by Consensus. They're based in New York City. Like, a lot of the regulation that you see, like, comes down heavy in New York City alone. Like, to think that they were ever going to be like the cypherpunk mentality is not really the way that you want to be thinking about Consensus in their products. And then also the JP Morgan tie in here. The data that MetaMask has now, is super valuable. I mean, that's the entire Ethereum ecosystem. Pretty much.
JP Morgan just trademarked their own wallet. So where do you think all that Consensus data is going? It's going to JP Morgan. There you go. There it is. There's the connection. It's not even that hard, right? At that point.
Yeah. But again, it's the same game that we've seen play out in Web2, right? Own the data, have your walled garden, have your IP. But the great thing is about crypto is that there are options. There are ways. It's not like we have to give in to this particular behavior, right? It's going to be convenient. It's going to be enticing, but at the same time, I think it's important for us, especially if you've been in the space for some time right now, one, to know the different options, play with them, because you never know when you really could need them, right? We just saw this with FTX. And at the same time, like, if you don't support those open source software developers and use their products and tell people like the safest way to remain sovereign, then you'll lose those options. And then we will end up all with JP Morgan wallets and MetaMask IP logging, walled gardens in crypto as well. Sorry, rant over.
I love the rants from you guys. Honestly, like, bring the heat every time you're on NFT Live, of course. The U.S. Iran just kicked off, so we will be heading out of here. I do have a tweet from Gifdead in a event that he is going to be hosting a panel on. So I want to hear a little bit about this. Great comments as well. Dickens is saying, "What is Infura's revenue stream?" That obviously plays into whether they're incentivized to share the data and all this stuff. And Dickens is also saying it's a lot of free bandwidth supporting all these free users. No. So yeah, then it comes down to money, as it always does. But Gif, let's move into this and let's head up out of here and watch the U.S. lay a smackdown, a 5-0 smackdown here on Iran. But what do you got going on here?
Heck yeah. I just wanted to mention this briefly. I'm very, very excited, honored even, to be hosting a panel, being a speaker at LA Comic-Con. I've never been to Comic-Con.
Nice.
And my first time that I get to go, it's this weekend in LA. It's the full weekend, 3 days. And I am hosting a panel on Saturday. I believe it's at 11:30 a.m. Saturday. The topic is how Web3 is changing entertainment. You know what? CockPunch might be something we want to talk about on this. Straight up, it feels relevant.
Do it. You won't.
How Web3 is changing entertainment. But we've got Ben Morrow from Huxley joining us. Cas Vegas from Feature.io. Jeff Nicholas from Warp Sounds. and Raj from the CEO of National Lampoon. So
God damn.
it's going to be an awesome
so
panel.
awesome.
I hope, if you're in LA, please come to LA Comic Con. It would be awesome to see some familiar faces. And if you want to help me get the word out by sharing that tweet, it's much appreciated. But I'm stoked on it. I wanted to mention it. And I've never been to LA Comic Con before. So if you can go, or if you're in LA, hit me up. Let's fucking do it.
Nice.
I
All
love
right,
it.
fellas. It's
Big-
been fucking awesome. Tomorrow, another day, another dollar. And remember, 5-0. I'm telling you right now. You will remember. Goal number 5, you'll be like, God damn, Biggie's right.
Biggie,
Massacre.
put down a lottery ticket number there, Biggie. I love to see if they go 5-0. Yo, USA, I believe that we will win. Everything is about to happen. It's happening. We're getting into the round of 16. Thank you guys for tuning in today for NFT Live on the Web3 Network. Of course, we will be here tomorrow on the GM Web3 Morning Show, as well as NFT Live with Ronan the Collector and Biggie Poppins. So we are going to have ourselves a fun time. Thank you guys so much. Our vibe, our tribe, and gang. We love the Gutter Cat game.
USA.